Eisenhower delivers a nationwide television radio speech on the Berlin situation. From his office in the White House, President Eisenhower gives this report to the American people and to the world.
You have heard much about this city recently and possibly wondered why American troops are in it at all. How did we get there in the first place? What responsibilities do we have in connection with it, and how did we acquire them? Why has there developed a situation surrounding this city that poses another of the recurring threats to peace that bear the stamp of Soviet manufacture? Let's begin with a brief review of recent history. We first acquired rights and responsibility in West Berlin as a result of World War II. Even before the war ended, when the defeat and capitulation of Nazi Germany were in sight, the Allied powers, including the Soviet Union, signed agreements defining the areas of occupation in Germany and Berlin which they would assume. As a result, Germany and the city of Berlin were each divided into 4 zones, occupied by American, British, French, and Soviet troops, respectively. Under the wartime agreements I have mentioned, the Western Allies entered into occupation of West Berlin and withdrew our armies from the Soviet zone. Accordingly, the boundary of the Soviet zone, like our presence in Berlin, was established upon the basis of these same agreements. Also, by agreement among the occupying powers, the Western Allies, the United States, the United Kingdom, and France were guaranteed free access to Berlin. Here in my office is a map of Germany. The light portion of the map is West Germany. The darker portion is East Germany. The lighter gray lanes are the air corridors to Berlin. And the dotted lines show both the main roads and railroads that give us access to the city. Notice that the city of Berlin is 110 miles inside East Germany. That is, it is 110 miles from the nearest boundary of West Germany. Here is the territory now in East Germany that was taken by our army in World War II and was turned over to the Russians by political agreement made before the end of the war. Now, at the end of World War II, our announced purpose and that of our wartime associates was the pacification and eventual unification of Germany under freedom. We jointly agreed to undertake this task. Ever since that time, the United States has continuously recognized the obligation of the Allied governments under international law to reach a just peace settlement with Germany and not to prolong the occupation of Germany unnecessarily. The public record demonstrates clearly that such a settlement has been frustrated only by the Soviets. It quickly became evident that Soviet leaders were not interested in a free, unified Germany and were determined to induce or force the Western powers to leave Berlin. The first instance of unusual pressure clearly evidencing these purposes came in 1948, when the communists imposed a blockade to force the protecting Western troops out of Berlin and to starve the people of that city into submission. That plan failed. A free people and a dramatic airlift broke the back of the scheme. In the end, the communists abandoned the blockade and concluded an agreement in 1949 with the Western powers, reconfirming our right of unrestricted access to the city. Then, last November, The Soviets announced that they intended to repudiate these solemn obligations. They once more appear to be living by the communist formula that promises are like pie crusts, made to be broken. The Soviet government has also announced its intention to enter into a peace treaty with the East German puppet regime. The making of this treaty, the Soviets assert, will deny our occupation rights and our rights of access. It is, of course, clear that no so-called peace treaty between the Soviets and the East German regime can have any moral or legal effect upon our rights. Now, as a matter of principle, the United States cannot accept the asserted right of any government to break by itself solemn agreements to which we, with others, are parties. But in the Berlin situation, both free people and principle are at stake. What then are the fundamental choices we have in this situation? First, of course, there is the choice which the Soviet rulers themselves would like us to make. They hope that we can be frightened into abdicating our rights, which are indeed responsibilities, to help establish a just and peaceful solution to the German problem, rights which American and Allied soldiers purchased with their lives. We have no intention of forgetting our rights or of deserting a free people. Soviet rulers should remember that free men have, before this, died for so-called scraps of paper which represented duty and honor and freedom. The shirking of our responsibilities would solve no problems for us. The second choice which the Soviets have compelled us to face is the possibility of war. Certainly the American and Western people do not want war, but all history has taught us the grim lesson that no nation has ever been successful in avoiding the terrors of war by refusing to defend its rights, by attempting to placate aggression. Whatever risk of armed conflict may be inherent in the present Berlin situation, it was deliberately created by the Soviet rulers. Now, our final choice is negotiation, even while we continue to provide for our security against every threat. We are seeking meaningful negotiation at this moment. The United States and its allies stand ready to talk with Soviet representatives at any time and under any circumstances which offer prospects of worthwhile results. We have no selfish material aims in view. We seek no domination over others, only a just peace for the world, and particularly, in this instance, for the people most involved. We are ready to consider all proposals which may help to reassure and will take into account the European peoples most concerned. We are willing to listen to new ideas and are prepared to present others. We will do everything within our power to bring about serious negotiations and to make these negotiations meaningful. The Soviet note of March 2nd appears to be a move toward negotiation on an improved basis. We would never negotiate under a dictated time limit or agenda, or on other unreasonable terms. We are, with our allies, however, in view of the changed tone of the Soviet note, concerting a reply to that note. It is my hope that thereby all of us can reach agreement with the Soviets on an early meeting at the level of foreign ministers. Assuming developments that justify a summer meeting at the summit, the United States would be ready to participate in that further effort. Our position then is this: we will not retreat 1 inch from our duty. We shall continue to exercise our right of peaceful passage to and from West Berlin. We will not be the first to breach the peace. It is the Soviets who threaten the use of force to interfere with such free passage. We are ready to participate fully in every sincere effort at negotiation that will respect the existing rights of all and their opportunities to live in peace. Together with our allies, we stand firm wherever the probing finger of any aggressor may point. Thus we lessen the risk of aggression. Thus we shall, with resolution and courage, struggle ever forward to the dream of a just and permanent peace. God helping us, we shall stand always equal to the challenge.